Georgia State 63-7, the final score in that one. Austin Simmons in his first start as a college quarterback was 20 of 31 for 341, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of that totally not his fault. Just free rusher. A turnstile basically from right guard at Ole Miss. Hits Simmons in the process of throwing. Ball just floats, gets picked off. Second one, just bad. Just bad read. Missed a linebacker on the backside deep in Georgia State territory. Threw an interception there. Aside from that, pretty darn good. He was exactly what you should have expected him to be in this game. Hey, Dad, we don't get everything right. We don't bat 1,000. We are wrong often. One thing I think we do a very good job of is applying appropriate perspective on things. Mm-hmm. And you had some people talking, oh, Heisman, he's going to be just as good as Jackson Dart right away and all that stuff. And what did we say? All offseason. He's very talented. He's making his first start. He's going to make mistakes. He's a young quarterback. He was everything that we thought he would be. Extremely talented. Showed a couple of times that accuracy, especially vertically, he's got an elite ceiling. Mm-hmm. But he's a young quarterback. He made one bad mistake in the red zone, a couple of other throws that if he would have hit a check down would have gone for big games, but he pushed it downfield when he didn't have to. He was exactly what everybody should have thought that he was in this game.
I don't think you can complain too much.
You can't complain at all. He's a young quarterback.
2 picks is a little concerning against Georgia State, but as you mentioned, one of them not his fault. The other one, yeah.
But the reason why it happened is still concerning for a different reason.
That's a concern. Yeah. What I would say is this. I wasn't paying full attention to this game because it was on at the same time as LSU and Clemson, right? So we had it on. From what I could tell and from what I was gathering from social media, Ole Miss got off to a slow start in this game. They did not come out of the gates like they normally do, and yet they still won 63-7.
Yeah. So,
when you say that, that's an impressive start for them.
Yeah.
This is not a game we can take too much from. It's, for Mississippi State, we're even though they're playing a Sun Belt opponent, you still took a lot from that game. You feel like you learned a little bit about Mississippi State. We learned nothing about Ole Miss. We will learn about Ole Miss this week. They go to Kentucky. A Kentucky team that doesn't look like it's very good, but
they were stinky on Saturday.
But they weren't very good last year, and they still beat Ole Miss. This is Austin Simmons' first road start, and Mark Stoops, for whatever faults he has, can scheme it up. So, they need Austin Simmons. What do they say? What's the old cliche? You get better. The most you get better all season is week 1 to week 2. Mm-hmm. They need Austin Simmons, and they need that offensive line to take big steps this week.
Yeah, we'll get to the offensive line here in a second. Trinidad Chambliss came in and played, was 4 of 6 for 60 yards and a touchdown. Rushing, Kejuan Lacey led Ole Miss in rushing. Talk, Michael. 16 carries, 108 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He, again, it's Georgia State. They were a 1-win Sun Belt team a year ago, a 1-win team in the Sun Belt. I think 3-9. They did beat Vanderbilt, but it's Georgia State. But he showed you why they loved him so much in camp. Powerful. His yards after contact was really, really good. Has that explosiveness. He's a complete back. How good is he? I don't know, but I do know that he is the prototypical running back, SEC running back, that they probably didn't have last year. For as good as Parrish was a year ago, he didn't have the power element that Lacey appears to have. Logan Diggs had 91 yards on just 7 carries and a touchdown as well. Deuce Alexander, the receiver, they did a lot of jet motion in this game. He had 43 yards as well. 295 rushing yards for Ole Miss. Receiving, Trey Wallace, the Penn State transfer, 130 yards on just 5 receptions and a touchdown. He also returned punts and looked explosive doing that. But, hey, Dad, he fair caught a ball on the 1-yard line.
No. It drives me crazy.
And they got lucky because there was a catch interference, so they didn't have to start on the 1. But a veteran player's got to know better than that. Yeah. But otherwise looked really, really explosive. Daquan Wright, the tight end, had 78 yards on just 4 catches and a touchdown. Caleb Odom had 57 yards on just 4 catches and a touchdown. Stribling had 55 yards on 3 catches. Winston Watkins, the freshman, had 33 yards on 2 catches, 400 receiving yards for the Ole Miss offense. Daugherty was good, had 9 tackles in the game, had half a TFL as well. I thought Ole Miss defensively looked really fast. That was the thing that you take away from that is, look, it's Georgia State. You just have to put that qualifier on this. But Georgia State very clearly going into the game and throughout the game made sure that they didn't let the Ole Miss defensive line impact the game much. They really got the ball out of their quarterback's hands fast. And so, like, you look at Perkins' stat line, and you think, oh, he didn't play well. He wasn't given the opportunity to rush the passer very much because they got the ball out of his hands quickly. Thought the secondary in pursuit was really good, and they looked really fast. And Yates and, Chambers, the linebackers, that are playing next to Daugherty also looked fast, sideline to sideline. That was the thing that stood out to me. But, Pete Golding's unit, they gave up some rushing yards, especially in the second half when the game kind of became, let's just run the clock and get out of here. Mm-hmm. But there's Pete Golding's defense yet again for 4 quarters, giving up 1 touchdown and 69 total passing yards, 43 of which came on 1 play for Georgia State. So pretty good day for the secondary. They won't get tested this weekend like they will next weekend in the back end of their defense because Calzada and that Kentucky offense does not appear to be able to throw the football particularly well. He really struggled on Saturday, and I don't think that that's the challenge that Kentucky's going to present. We'll see about the front 6. They did not look as physically dominant as last year's, but Xavier Harris was a beast. Yeah, Cam Franklin looked good.
SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week, or co with Will Whitson.
Yeah, and he broke the basketball pole after an interception.
Oh, no.
He tried to do the Shaq dunk, Haydad. So he has an interception, and they run him to the basketball pole, and he tries to dunk, but the Shaq dunk where he puts his feet up in the air.
Yeah, that's no good.
And the basketball goal broke halfway up the pole, just broke in half.
I can't believe we've gotten this far into this. So, and you haven't mentioned the real story of this game. Why are people trying to steal jewelry at games? What on earth is that situation? I've never seen anything. Sometimes you say, I've never seen anything like that, and you have. I don't know that I can recall just grand larceny on the field, and then the guy just acting like nothing happened.
So if you guys didn't see it, they mentioned it on the broadcast. Tom Hart actually got one detail wrong. It wasn't Xavier Harris that got his chain ripped off of his neck. It was Womack. But a Georgia State player, a defensive back, as the Ole Miss team was walking from the far tunnel across their sideline up to their locker room to get dressed for the game, a Georgia State defensive back was like walking alongside them and, talking junk and doing all that stuff. And so an Ole Miss player ripped the towel off. He had a hand towel and just ripped that off of him, just grabbed it. Like, get out of here, man, and grabbed the towel. So this player gets up into the chest of Womack, rips his chain off of his neck, runs away, and throws it into the stands.
Sure.
And to Del McGee, Georgia State coach's credit, immediately apologized to Ole Miss, and the player did not play. He was supposed to start, did not play in the game at all, and issued an apology afterwards as well. But apparently police got involved because, as you can imagine,
I'm not surprised by that. Yes,
some of those chains get quite expensive.
Yeah,
and guy broke it, stole it, and then threw it up into the stands. And apparently, Womack's response was, because the cops were like, "Do you want to press charges?" He goes, "No, I want him to play. Like, please."
I like that. I like that attitude. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
You're going to get your butt kicked. Why are you poking the bear, man?
I know you gave Del McGee credit there. I don't know how much I'd give. He wouldn't have dressed if Brian Haydad's the coach. I'd been like,
he did dress.
Been like, go out and get out of the stadium. If you can get a ticket, you can come back in. You're not playing on this team anymore. You can't have that. That's ridiculous.
Did he get it back? I don't know the answer. I assume it's broken.
Yeah.
If nothing, getting ripped off of his neck and then thrown into the stands. I can't imagine it stayed intact. But Zach with a funny here. So Oxford hates Mardi Gras now.
That's not. There's a difference between a chain and beads. There's a difference.
But we'll get to the offensive line when we come back. But that was a game that it went exactly how we thought it would. There's very little to truly take away from it. It's a Sun Belt team. Ole Miss looks like they have weapons for days. So we knew that they felt really good about their pass catchers and felt really good about Lacey, and he showed up and looked good. That That's what a team at the current position that Ole Miss as a program is in, that's what they're supposed to do to a team like Georgia State. It's supposed to look like that. We'll see as the competition increases. But there is one issue. A lot good. Pass catchers, good. I think Simmons, by and large, you can come away feeling pretty good. Defensive backs, a lot of new faces, looked good. Linebackers, good. One thing was not, and we will get to that. So, offensive line.
Yeah.
I saw some of this. When I talked about the offensive line over the weekend, I got some pushback. Why are you talking about how bad they played? They had 700 yards worth of offense. What are you talking about?
I saw what Justice Seeker 19 had to say to you. That was some – I'm glad they took time from their seeking of justice to talk to you about it.
But, yes, a lot of these things can be true at once when it comes to the Ole Miss offensive line after this game. They did have 700 yards worth of offense. It's a good day. That's great. It can also be true that some of their issues stemmed from like communication breakdown as opposed to physical ability. Shout out Led Zeppelin.
What was my song for Ole Miss?
That did happen, right? So there was some of that. That can be true. It can also be true that some of the guys that played were banged up during camp, and maybe it's going to take them a little bit longer to get game ready. It can also be true that a couple of guys that I think might end up starting for Ole Miss on the offensive line, not day one, but might end up starting by the end of the season, weren't available on Saturday. All of those things can be true. This is a group that can get better as they play together more often because they have not played together very much. However, it can also be true that the way they played in the first half against Georgia State is deeply concerning because call me crazy, I don't think we should measure Ole Miss compared to a Sun Belt team. Yes, Ole Miss would dominate the Sun Belt. That's great. Frankly, I don't think we should really measure them unless this weekend goes poorly against Kentucky. Kentucky has a chance to be the worst team in the SEC this year. You tell me that this program is taking a step forward and should be a playoff caliber program on an almost annual basis. If that's the case, then they should be scrutinized like one. And, they'll be fine, nothing to worry about, all they need to do is play together more, doesn't hold up when you've got veteran players that are turnstiles against Georgia State. I don't care how much camp you miss. How much camp do you need to have as a veteran SEC player to not get abused and picked on by Georgia State? So it certainly can get better. It can. Don't write the script on any team after, especially any position group after 1 week. But if you watched what they were on the offensive line in the first half in particular of that game, and then you turn around and watch LSU's defensive front play Clemson and tell me that, there's nothing to worry about, they'll be fine, I think you're wrong. It is a concern for this team. They have weapons, they can scheme around it. These guys can get better. But it wasn't just communication issues. They lost one-on-one reps to Georgia State. It's going to get a lot more difficult than Georgia State. There is a glaring concern about that team. That doesn't mean they can't overcome it. It doesn't mean they can't get better. But there is no way you can watch that first half and just go, all's well. They're fine. They just didn't play together much in camp. That's no big deal. You can't watch your quarterback's head get ripped off and then turn around and say, it'll be fine. No big deal. I just don't agree with that at all.
I can't disagree with you. I'll be honest with you. I mean, when you play a team like Georgia State and you are a team like Ole Miss, you should dominate every snap of the game. And maybe that seems like an unfair expectation, but it is what it is. And especially like you said, if Ole Miss wants to be mentioned among the blue blood programs, the teams that year in, year out, you know that they're going to compete for the college football playoff, then that's part of this gig. And so they got to get better. They got to do it quickly because this trip to Kentucky, yes, Kentucky is not a great team, but they're still an SEC team that came to Oxford and won last year. You know Ole Miss is going to have
shut that offense down for 4 quarters.
Exactly. Stoops can scheme. He can put together a plan that's going to make Austin Simmons have to work. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, they do. They got to play better.
They do. I do really like the running back room, though. They looked, again, it's Georgia State, but they looked a lot more physical than last year's group did, for sure. Lacey, after contact, was quite good. And the problem is, we talked about the stat going into the game, the yards before contact, not good. He was not given that many opportunities to have clear running space. He created them himself by being physical and bouncing off tacklers. I think he broke the second most tackles in college football this weekend. Which you read that, you think, oh, wow, what a great stat. But why did he have to do that as much as he was asked to do that? It is a concern. You're lying to yourself if you think that it's not.